wondering how many Shia LaBeouf jokes will be made at the ceremony, frankly. We talked about him on the show last week with all the problems he's having. And you mentioned Billy Porter, which is what made me think about it. I hope, if Billy is there, I hope he's on the red carpet because he always has something to say, which is part of why I love the man. But everything he said about Nicki Minaj, and then he repeated for Shia LaBeouf, her. And I agree, by the way. So I would love to see what Billy has to say walking into Oscar night, and I would love to have to hear what Conan or anyone else has to say about Shia LaBeouf, his sudden homophobia, his sudden "I'm a born again Christian and hate the gays" sort of defense of his boozing.
Yeah, he was so canceled once. I don't know if he's worth canceling again, so I don't know if they'll go after him.
Who revived him is what I want to know.
Yeah, exactly.
I
It'll
thought
be
we were done
interesting
with
to
him.
see if they're. I just don't know if he has the relevance anymore to be worthy of an Oscar level digs, but we'll see what happens. I don't know. Well, hello, everyone. It is Oscar weekend here on Entertainment Exposed. Right here with your faithful co-host, David Reddish, and I am Scott Fullerton here. David, how are you, my friend?
I am doing just lovely. It is a beautiful day in Los Angeles. I think we're going to hit the high 90s today, actually, if such a thing is possible in early March, but I'm all for it.
We are actually warm in Ohio finally, so I can't complain. Usually I can find something to complain about, but we're hitting 72 today, so I will take it.
That's great. Now, have you guys had hail there with this crazy Midwest storm, or are
We've
you
had
okay?
some really crazy storms. This morning was thunder and lightning for a little bit, like 6:30 in the morning or 5:30, whenever it was, right after I got up. I don't remember what it was, but it was early. So we had a little lightning storm, but I didn't see hail then. But we get a little bit of everything, that's for sure.
It's
Always
crazy.
fun and exciting.
My friends back in Chicago, one of them had her car totally destroyed by massive hailstones. They shattered her windshield, like completely tore up the engine of the car. I feel bad for them right now, but it's again why I moved.
My day job, I'm informed of weather of all the time. My day job as you know, I work very part-time. I'm a dispatcher for a national roofing company. So we have 60 locations in all 50 states. So all I hear about is the weather and how it destroyed roofs. So I know exactly when all those things happen. It's crazy. But yeah,
Yeah,
some of those states have some serious weather issues. That is for sure.
scary thing.
Well, we'll see what it's like. I remember for Golden Globes, it was a very hot and sweaty weekend in LA for the Golden
Yeah.
Globes a couple weeks ago. It could be close to the same for Academy Awards this weekend.
I mean, it does look that way. It looks like it's going to be pretty warm. It's funny because I go to a black tie tuxedo, very fancy dress Oscar party every year. And this year they're actually suspending the dress suggestions. They're like, just show up and stay cool, please. There are going to be 30
Nice.
people in this third floor apartment. So we'll be interested. It'll be interesting to see what happens. I'm also excited about the show itself because it's funny when we talked about the Golden Globes and when we talked about the nominations for the Oscars, it seemed like it was going to be kind of a ho-hum year of, oh, we know everybody that's going to win. And it's going to be safe betting. You're just going to watch the show for the speeches and the silliness and the performances and all that. It suddenly got really, really hot in the Oscar
Last
race
couple
the past
weeks.
couple
Wow.
weeks.
Yeah.
So, and we really don't know who's going to win in some of the top categories. So I'm excited to talk about them with you. I've been making my notes this morning in preparation for this, and I have many thoughts because I've actually been going back and looking at some of the films as well. Where should we begin on this? Where do we even begin?
Man, I don't know. Let's kind of do as Academy does. Academy starts at a semi-decent one. Let's start with supporting actress. That's one of your favorite. You've been loving Amy all year long.
Yes.
And let's talk about supporting actress. So go ahead.
So, Best Actress in a Supporting Role. Yes, the nominees are Elle Fanning, Inga Lilius, Amy Madigan, Wunmi Mosaku, and Tiana Taylor. Now, I have a rule that I'm going to share with you and all our listeners right now. I've been paying a lot of attention to this. There is a formula by which you can predict the winners in this. You have to pay attention to the BAFTA and you have to pay attention to the SAG Awards. People talk about the Golden Globes. That's not really true. A little bit, kind of,
Yeah.
not really, not as much anymore. You really need to pay attention to the BAFTAs and to SAG. Now, the BAFTAs this year, because of some weird qualifying rules, not all the movies that are actually nominated for the Oscars could be eligible for the BAFTAs, and at least one major movie called I Swear, which was not eligible at the Oscars this year, won really big at the BAFTAs. So that throws this all into even more chaos. On the Best Supporting Actress front, I'd say the safe bet is Amy Madigan. She won the SAG Award. And the SAG Awards, this is the real giveaway. The SAG Awards are usually 3 out of 4. Historically, they have gone 4 out of 4. They've gone 2 out of 4 in the past. But on average, it's always 3 out of 4. So if we've talked about this, we talked about this last year, where it ended up being 3 out of 4. The problem is I just called the wrong 3. Just saying. I'd say Amy Madigan looks like she's actually going to take home the statue this year. She won big at the SAG Awards. She has been working. She has the narrative. She's been working in town a long, long time, 45 years, 47 years. She's Hollywood royalty. She's married to Ed Harris. Everybody likes her. She's been giving amazing, rousing speeches when she's been picking up her awards that manage to be funny and moving at the same time. And as I've said on the show before, I think Aunt Gladys is the character of the year. I think she gave the performance of the year. It is a performance for the ages, destined to be immortalized through drag for the foreseeable future. And I look forward to seeing her take home the award that night.
I might have to agree with you. I think Tiana had it going early on, early odds on favorite, but momentum has a lot of momentum has changed these last couple of weeks, and
I'd
especially with
say
the
if
SAG
there's an
Awards coming
upset,
through.
yeah,
Yeah, and
I'd
the
say if
SAG
there's an
Awards speech
upset,
was
Tiana Taylor
amazing.
could win. But
Yeah,
I think Amy picked up the SAG, so I think that's probably who's going to win on Oscar night. That, and it seems like One Battle's been losing a little bit of steam.
yeah,
So I think she's the safer bet. Let's go over to, how about we go to actor in a supporting role?
sure.
Benicio del Toro, Jacob Elordi, Delroy Lindo, Sean Penn, and Stellan Skarsgård. What are your thoughts there? Who do you think is going to take home the gold?
Sean Penn has some amazing momentum in the end there. I wasn't
Yeah.
really sure in the beginning. I wasn't really planning on Sean Penn.
No, me
But
neither.
I'm kind of feeling the same way you are with Amy Madigan. I think that Sean Penn is getting a late push, and
Yeah.
I would not be surprised if he got it. Not maybe my
Uh,
original pick, but I think I'm starting to lean that way.
I mean, I think that's well said. Sean Penn took home the BAFTA and the SAG Award, which kind of shocked me because, like you said, it didn't seem like he really had much momentum going into Oscar season. It seemed like Stellan Skarsgård, this was his award to lose, but sentimental value has definitely been overshadowed by One Battle and especially Sinners. So I think Sean Penn is probably a lock for this category. I'd say that's pretty safe money. Stellan Skarsgård could cause an upset, but so could Delroy Lindo, who's another beloved veteran actor. Sinners has an incredible amount of momentum coming into awards night. And he's wonderful in the film. I could see him like coming out of nowhere and sweeping this up if there's an upset. That said, the odds of an upset in this category are very, very, very slim. I'd say Penn has about a 70% probability of winning. So
Yeah,
if you're in your Oscar pool, yeah.
I would definitely Delroy probably a little lower on my list, but yeah, I think that I think Penn is going to get it. We'll see what happens here. But let's move
I
on to
would say
Best
that's true.
Actress. Talk to me about your Best Actress.
Best actress. This is so sad, Scott. It's so sad. Jessie Buckley, Rose Byrne, Kate Hudson, Renee Renevies, and Emma Stone. So this is Jessie Buckley's Oscar to lose.
Yes.
She won the BAFTA, she won the SAG, she won the Golden Globe, she's won every damn award for that boring ass movie called Handmaid. Other people are in love with this film. I am not. I love William Shakespeare. I love Jessie Buckley. I love Paul Mescal. I love Chloe Zhao. I was bored to tears watching this movie. And everyone's like, oh, but the ending's so shocking. Is it? The kid's friggin' name is Hamnet. Like, did you not know from the opening title card that said it's also, it's an analog of Hamlet? Did you not know where this was going?
Right.
Okay, fine. That little rant out of the way. I don't think, see, this is where I get controversial because I don't think Jessie Buckley deserves to win. I would vote for Rose Byrne if you handed me an Oscar ballot. I think she, in a very infinitesimal way, could be the dark horse to win, but because Jessie Buckley's won just about everything, I'd say her odds are 80% or better that she's going to take this home. I hope she's wearing a really great dress because it's going to be very photographed on Oscar night. And it's frustrating to me because I think Rose actually, if you've seen If I Had Legs, I Would Kick You, Rose carries that movie, every frame of it. Jessie has a lot of help. She has help from Emily Watson. She has help from Paul Mescal, from a terrific cast, from great direction by Chloe Zhao. Rose Byrne is the movie. In If I Had Legs, I Would Kick You. She has to do a lot more, and that's part of why I would vote for her. That, and I think the performance is just a lot more interesting and a lot more dynamic and a lot riskier. But there's also a rule at the Oscars: if your movie is only nominated for Best Actress, you're probably not going to win. It's happened, I think, 3 times that I can
Right.
think of. 3 times in our lifetime. Most recently, Julianne Moore for Still Alice in a really, really weak year where she was like way overdue for her Oscar. Jessie Buckley is going to
Right.
win this. Your thoughts?
I think Buckley is probably one of the sure locks of the night. There's not many. There's maybe I have 2, maybe 3 what I think are locked, but I think she is hands down the biggest sure bet on here. Same way with the performances. I don't necessarily agree it was my favorite movie or my favorite performance, but just through all the award season and for just momentum and everything, yeah, I think Jessie Buckley is definitely going to take it. I think Hamlet's going to get shut out in a lot of other places too. So
Yes.
I
Yes.
think that that's going to be a little bit of it as well, to be honest with you.
I mean, that's actually an excellent point. I think this will be what they give Hamnet, which seemed to be very regarded and
Yeah,
well regarded, and which here in LA, I have seen more posters and more billboards for Hamnet. It is running a hell of an expensive campaign
right.
to help Jesse lock this up. But I think there, as you say, there will be something of we have to give it to her because we can't give it to Hamnet for anything else. So I'd say that is a very, very safe bet.
Yeah, I think that's going to happen possibly. I mean, actor's the one that's really up in the air right now
Well,
to
you're
me. I
totally
mean,
right about that.
with Timothy Chalamet and his whole opera, whatever,
Opera
Braha, even that
ballet,
was done
stupid
pretty
comment.
much after most voting was gone. I mean,
That's the
DiCaprio,
key.
Leonardo was kind of locked early on. Ethan Hawke, you can never count out. Michael B. Jordan, though, talking about momentum, it's
Yes.
just going really strong now. And then Wagner Moore, just not as year. I'm sorry. But
So
yeah, I think it's going to be Michael. I think Michael's going to get it. He's getting this
you
momentum at
do.
the end. What about you?
You do. Well, this is the toughest category to call for the reasons you just mentioned. Timothy Chalamet making some boneheaded remarks about ballet and opera. But as you correctly point out, and by the way, Scott, great job, because I have not seen a lot of the media analysis point out that he said this the day before voting closed. So most Academy voters will have already voted, but when he said those comments, and certainly later on, by the time everyone blew up about it and heard about it, the voting was already closed.
Right.
This is a tough category to call because, as you say, Ethan Hawke, a lot of people are saying, I didn't get a screener for Blue Moon, so I'm pissed off about this. I can't speak to it. But a lot of people are saying he should actually win, that he's the most deserved of everybody that you listed. I don't think he's going to win. This is very, very hard to call because Michael B. Jordan won the SAG and I believe won the BAFTA as well. So it looks like he has momentum. The other thing is that he's older. He's in his 40s. Timothy Chalamet just turned 30, and he would be, I believe, the second youngest Best Actor winner in history after Adrian Brody, who coincidentally beat Timothy last year in this category. I thought Timmy was going to pull it out, but he did not. I think this year it's a very, very tough call, but I think Timmy does pull it out. I think because Marty Supreme was so nominated, it got so many nominations, and I don't see it winning anywhere else. I think this, as we sort of talked about with Hamnet and Jessie Buckley, this will be what they give the movie. Chalamet he's maybe the only true movie star of his generation. There are very, very few Gen Z movie stars, people who you go see the Timothy Chalamet movie. You go see it because it's his name above the title.
Right.
Very few actors of his generation can do that, but he can. He gives a spectacular performance in Marty Supreme. He's an absolute force of nature. Now, Michael B. Jordan is also very, very good in Sinners, and Sinners has an enormous amount of momentum coming into Oscar night. So don't be surprised if Michael pulls it out either. I still give Timmy the edge, barely, like barely, barely,
Yeah.
barely. And the other wild card, you mentioned it in passing, but Wagner Moura is somebody the Academy sometimes loves to go for that outsider performance that it doesn't seem like
True.
anybody's seen, but in a European film. But then, oh my gosh, he's picking it up. I'm thinking about Jean Dujardin in The Artist. There are many many others we could go through. We don't want to waste time listing them all now. I
Yeah,
I
this is
think
the one that's gonna be the most interesting category for me. I'm sticking with my Michael B. Jordan. I do,
okay,
you said a lot of people at the very beginning of award season, a lot of them were saying how they thought Timothy was kind of robbed last year is why he had
yes,
this going in because he maybe did the best performance last year when he was
yeah,
overlooked. So that's why it was huge. And like you said, this controversies they're having some fun with it after the fact, but yeah, it was way too close. I mean, you and I, just our votes for when we do our Gallica. I mean, I voted
yeah,
probably 3 days into it. I didn't wait too long. I didn't
yeah,
wait till the last day, that's for sure. So
yeah.
we'll see. What about director for you?
Director, I'd say this is still Paul Thomas Anderson's Oscar to lose. The nominees are Chloe Zhao, Josh Sadie, Paul Thomas Anderson, Joachim Trier, and Ryan Coogler for Sinners. If there's an upset, Ryan Coogler will win. I think he is the only one that has a chance outside of Paul Thomas Anderson. I put Paul Thomas Anderson's probability at about 65%. This is his first nomination as a director, but he's widely thought of as one of the best directors of his generation, one of the best directors working today. And the fact of the matter is, One Battle After Another is a very, very bold film. And the direction, the long takes, the deep focus photography, the way he gets extraordinary performances out of his cast, so many of them are, four of them are nominated for Oscars. That's a big deal when you have that many people nominated.
Right.
I think this will definitely be what goes to one battle. This and Penn seem like they're a lock. But at the same time, I have to add the caveat that Kugler could cause an upset. And I would not be wholly surprised because the direction in Sinners is very, very strong. And because Ryan Coogler's thought of more as a director than he is a writer, I would say he has a shot at it. Your thoughts?
I'm the same way. I think it's gonna be one of the two. I think if One Battle for Another was not such a good film, it wouldn't have helped. But because I think this guy has such a great long career in front of him. I think they might have held off a bit to see what he could do down the road. But he's come out of the gate swinging. Like you said, for his first nomination, he has got a heck of a film behind him. And
Yes.
I mean, we all know Oscars kind of go for either the artiness of it all and from an industry standpoint or comes from an audience standpoint and
Yes.
what people think. And this has got popularity on both sides. So I think he's got a lot of momentum going. But Sinners has such audience buzz. That's what the upset could come from because there's such a strong, and I just don't know which way Oscar's going to kind of bend this year. But I would probably I think Kugler's the dark horse on this one, but very
Yes.
possible.
I would say so, but I would say this wrestling match is actually the kind of Sinners versus One Battle wrestling match. I think that's going to be settled in another category that I want to get to in a second. But first, I want to say animated feature film is going to go to K-pop Demon Hunters and let's all go home because there's not even going to be
Yeah.
conversation for that. Disney is
Yeah,
known for
that's
really
a
pushing hard
popcorn
and buying
break one
Oscars.
there. I think we can all go refill our popcorn, get a beverage break because it's taken everything it's got, and it's very good. But I think that's one of the two of the
I still
three
can't
locks
watch
that I
it.
talked about earlier for sure.
I think the music to that movie, which is going to win Best Song, I think the music's abysmal, and so I have not been able to get through the film. I need to try again, maybe some night when I'm on mushrooms or something. But we're not going to. I'm not going to fret about that just yet.
I'm
Screenplay
not an
categories.
anime person. I've never have been. I don't like animated series as good as they are. As much as I love some of the series, I'm just not. I can't sit through animated. So I'm with you there. I don't do it.
So the screenplays, adapted screenplay, Begonia, Frankenstein, Hamnet, One Battle After Another, Train Dreams. One Battle's going to pick this up. Paul Thomas Anderson has been nominated in screenplay categories before. I would say that's the strongest showing. Hamnet maybe could cause an upset, but I don't think that's going to happen. As we already discussed, I think Jussie Buckley is going to be the sort of consolation prize for the entire film, the entire cast and crew. I think this is a pretty safe one.
If it would have got at least one win in some of the previous award shows, I really wanted to see Guillermo and Frankenstein get something. I thought it was a great take on the
Yeah.
movie, and I thought it would be a fun kind of dark horse in there. But it just has really kind of been overlooked the entire award season. So that's the
I
only
mean,
reason I'm not going it. As for a personal favorite, I would have liked to see Frankenstein get recognized in this category, if
I mean,
anything.
here. It is an excellent adaptation of the book, one that manages to be very faithful and yet put an entirely new sort of spin on all of it. I think Frankenstein is probably going to win in hairstyling and makeup, so that will sort of be the consolation prize that they give to Frankenstein. In the original screenplay category, a Blue Moon, It Was Just an Accident, Marty Supreme, Sentimental Value, Sinners. I'd say Ryan Coogler picks up this Oscar for Sinners, which it has the momentum. There's a chance Sentimental Value might win if the Academy wants to give some kind of consolation prize to
Right.
that film. But I think this is also Coogler's to lose.
I think that's a good bet. I mean, anyone that can make an interesting story about ping pong deserves something.
That's
I
Marty
I think
Supreme. Yeah.
yeah, for Marty Supreme, but I think Kugler is definitely I think he's the odds-on favorite for this as well. I agree with you 100% there.
I would say so, which brings us to best picture. Or,
Bum, bum, bum.
and this is another very, very difficult to call race. Bugonia, F1, Frankenstein, Hamnet, One Battle After Another, The Secret Agent, Sinners are the nominees, and Sentimental Value. I skipped over Sentimental Value. This is a tough one. This is very, 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 very
Yeah.
tough. One Battle has been winning most of the big awards. If there's a split, I think Sinners is going to win the first casting Oscar. And I don't know. I am really torn on this. I'd say One Battle maybe has the edge, but don't be surprised if Sinners wins in an upset either. That would also address a long-time criticism of the Academy that they are awarding too many art house movies and not enough hits. Sinners was a Hollywood-ish film. It was still something of an art house film, but it had Hollywood money in it. It was well funded. It obviously has a very Hollywood cast in it, Michael B. Jordan, Delroy Lindo. And people are just loving on it so much. This is a tough call. I'd say the safest bet is One Battle, but it's barely safe at all. Like, this is almost a toss up in my mind. What
If
do
they
you say?
split, who do you
Yeah.
think would sneak in? I have a feeling Begonia may sneak in, but if they were truly to split the vote, I don't know who a third
Well,
candidate would be. Who would you go for third that might get an upset win because the other two split?
I don't think they split because simply for the fact that the best picture nominees, the members actually rank them now. They don't just vote for one.
Well, that's right. I forgot about the rank voting. Yeah.
Which is also why it's sort of like, well, it kind of could go any which way. Like the year Mad Max Fury Road was nominated for Best Picture and obviously should have won. Spotlight won because of like the weird way they averaged the ballots or whatever.
I didn't
So
think about that. You're right.
both Sinners and One Battle After Another ended up on most Best of the Year lists, though kind of in slightly different orders, which again makes this damn near impossible to predict. It's like it's down to the razor's edge here. It seems like Sinners maybe had more momentum toward the end of Oscar season. So the question is, how many ballots were filled out early in the season versus late in the season? I don't know. I'd say One Battle's probably the safer bet, but don't be surprised if Sinners wins in an upset either.
Yeah, I mean, my hot take on the entire Oscars, and we'll see, like I said, I think it's going to be really come down to that in a lot of categories. My hot take is with all the 16 nominations Sinners got, if it kind of rolls towards One Battle After Another, they're going to take home more Oscars than Sinners will. That's my hot take on the whole thing. If it doesn't roll that way, with the sinners, with a lot of things. I think despite 16 nominations, one battle after another is going to have more overall Oscars at the end of the night.
I think that's probably true. I think that's probably true. Here's hoping the show is interesting. No one gets slapped in the face. That the speeches are all interesting, and yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I really am.
Yeah, it's always a good night. Like I said, we talked about it way before in one of our real older shows, but that was my big thing in LA was being a seat filler at all the Oscars. I'd love to go to the
Yeah.
Trine Auditorium and kind of hang out, then find some of the parties that we can either get invited to or sneak into afterwards. But yeah, it's always a great night in LA. A lot of fun, and I miss those nights there. But yeah, it's always a great show. They put on a great show. What do you think of Conan for his second year as
I think he did a great job. I look forward to seeing him host again. The host job. So in my mind, no one ever did a better opening monologue than Whoopi Goldberg. It's funny because I remember when she used to host, she would sometimes be criticized, but it's like her opening monologue was so damn funny. You kind of forgot about the rest of it. That's what endures over the years.
right?
People seem to love Billy Crystal. I always found him irritating as host. I think Jon Stewart's probably the most underrated of all the hosts that I've seen in my lifetime. Ellen DeGeneres also did a great job, though for reasons right now I wouldn't, she's not hosting. I think Conan's going to do a great job. I think he'll be terrific. So I really look forward to seeing what he has to say about all this, how many jokes he makes about vampires and ballet and opera possibly costing someone an Oscar. The thing that's great about Conan, in addition to just having a wacky sense of humor, is he's not afraid to cut close to the bone.
Exactly.
So the deep cuts are very. This is the reason why for example, the MTV Video Music Awards used to be so much fun because the hosts would just hold no prisoners. They would cut deep, and the whole audience would be screaming with laughter. That and people would get arrested during the show. And to me, it's not a party unless people are getting arrested at the ceremony itself. I would love to see that at the Oscars, though maybe not under this administration. I'd hate to think what they would be arresting people for. Yeah, I think Conan's going to do a great job.
I agree. I'm looking forward to it. I did think he did a fantastic job last year. Not my favorite host of all time, but a very good host. As you say, he doesn't have the biting meanness of Ricky Gervais, but he
Oh
is
yeah,
more cutting than Ricky Gervais. Like you said, I think
yes.
he can work a joke in there pretty finely tuned. So it could be interesting to see how that happens. So I'm looking forward to that. And he does it with that quirky little smile and red hair of his. So be interesting to see how that goes. Any other hot takes or anything you're looking forward to seeing for the show?
I mean, for the show itself, I mean, always the set. The set is always very cool. Always the fashion. The party that I go to, we always start. I mean, on the West Coast, the Oscars start earlier anyway, just because that's how it works. But we always arrive early for the red carpet arrivals and to pour a very, very tall glass of wine and just make fun of the clothes. It's like, oh, she's wearing upholstery fabric this year. Look at that. My mom has that chair. Things like that. What was she thinking? Oh my gosh, those are not real. That's so unflattering. Oh wow, she looks amazing. Demi Moore last year arriving in that incredible mirror ball silver gown was just stunning. And of course, her body looked stunning, if a bit refreshed, but still, I hope that when I'm in my mid 60s, I look as good as she does. Yeah, we'll see what happens. I mean, the iconic fashion is always fun at the Oscars, and I'm not even that big a fashionista. I say that as I'm sitting here in some very interesting designer stuff that I got from a downtown boutique. Yeah, the fashion, the in memoriam, where inevitably, because by that point we're all on our second or third very, very tall glass of wine, everybody gets weepy in the room. It's like, oh, this year we lost Gene Hackman and Diane Keaton. This is going to be rough, but here we are. Nothing will be worse. I hope nothing's ever worse than the year Carrie Fisher and Debbie Reynolds died right before the Oscars, and the room was damn near inconsolable. I was bawling.
Right.
Anyway, yeah.
Yeah, it's a good night. I'm not as much into the fashion part because I have no fashion sense as the one gene I never inherited. But I always look forward to seeing a Coleman Domingo, or if God forbid we get to see a Billy Porter is in there for any reason whatsoever on a red carpet. I do enjoy some great fashion by some really stylish people. So that's always kind of fun to see. I miss some of the great parties. I mean, I never got invited to the Spago party, but I always would go to La Dome across the street. That's how old I am. It's not even there as a restaurant anymore, but La Dome was the big restaurant that's right across the street from Spago that had a great people watching and had a lot of stars going in its own. So it was always a great night to be had Oscar night, that's for sure.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. I'm wondering how many Shia LaBeouf jokes will be made at the ceremony, frankly. We talked about him on the show last week and all the problems he's having. And you mentioned Billy Porter, which is what made me think about it. I hope if Billy is there, I hope he's on the red carpet because he always has something to say, which is part of why I love the man. But everything he said about Nicki Minaj, and then he repeated for Shia LaBeouf, her, her, her. And I agree, by the way. So I would love to see what Billy has to say walking into Oscar night, and I would love to have to say to hear what Conan or anyone else has to say about Shia LaBeouf's his sudden homophobia, his sudden "I'm a born again Christian and hate the gays" sort of defense of his boozing.
Yeah, he was so canceled once. I don't know if he's worth canceling again. So I don't know if they'll go after him. It'll
Who
be
revived
interesting
him
to
is what I
see.
want to know. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
I
It'll
thought
be
we were done with
interesting to
it.
see if they're. I just don't know if he has the relevance anymore to be worthy
No.
of an Oscar level digs, but we'll see what happens. I don't know. But I think we've done some good predictions, my friend. I think we're going to be right in there. We'll have to be texting back and forth to each other and see if how close we are, and we'll kind of do a recap next week. But I always appreciate talking movies with you, my
Always.
friend. You are always spot on. Any final thoughts?
Amy Madigan for the win. I really hope so. She's the big one I care about Sunday night.
There you
So
go. Also, yeah, I'm waiting to see for the Sinners upset. That's the thing that I'll be looking for, guys. We appreciate you tuning in every Friday. We record on Wednesday, every Friday for us. Be sure to tell your friends about it. We've been getting a lot of looks lately, Dave. I don't know what's happening, but I know we've had some great looks. So be sure to hit that subscribe button. Tell your friends. Hit the little notification. We'll be out there every Friday. And we'll see you next time right here on Entertainment Exposed. Bye, everybody.